Well, Thanksgiving's next week, and of course, the holiday season right around the corner. So, our guest this evening has a new book for those who struggle this time of year. A lot of people talk about Blue Christmas, people for whom the holidays are not as joyful. Paul Jarzembowski serves as Associate Director for the Laity at the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. He helps coordinate the bishops' work related to lay leadership, lay movements, lay engagement, as well as the church's ministries for young adults. He's also the guy that he just produces World Youth Day, which is amazing to me. He starts, as soon as one's over, he starts working on the next one. Paul Jarzembowski is a speaker and author, including his Hope from the Ashes, Insights and Resources for Welcoming Lenten Visitors, that he joined us on the show to talk about last time he had a book. His brand new one, though, is called Hope for the Holidays, Finding Light at the Darkest Times of the Year. Welcome back to the Bus of the Hill Show. Friend of the show, Paul Jarzembowski.
It's so good to be here on this very dark
like
time.
You're just coming to coming from a funeral or something. You look very spiffy, all dressed up.
Sharp, though.
Yeah, sharp.
I'm coming from the USCCB General Assembly.
Oh, well, that's
and
what I meant.
So
yeah,
you
similar.
just, yeah. So I'm not, no comment.
Yeah. It was a positive event, not a
So
negative
for people
event,
that don't understand how we use the term, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is a group of, it is all of the bishops in the United States, but it's also this building and team of lay people that work for the bishops. When they all go home to their diocese, you guys do all the work, and a couple times a year they all come together. So this was one of the times a year that they were all together in general session. They were like voting on things. Do you get to go? Do you get to see it happening in person?
Oh, yeah. I get to sit in the back and, watch them vote, watch them talk, watch them. And basically, they're outlining what is going to be my job for the next 6 months to do. So we're the crew that puts the stuff into action that they talk about and decide all week. So very exciting stuff for us.
Notes in the back like, April's going to be tough.
Basically. Yep, that's basically it.
Now, I can't say that every time the bishops get together do I sit down glued to the live stream, because they actually do live stream it. It's kind of like C-SPAN. You get to watch them voting on things and stuff. And this time, though, however, something very close to the heart of the Paulist Fathers, my community, our founder was officially moved forward in his sainthood cause.
Yeah. Cardinal Dolan introduced to the body of bishops to say, hey, this is who Isaac Hecker is. He's a great guy. He did all these wonderful things. Let's move his cause forward. And most bishops said, yeah, let's do it.
Most bishops did, yes. An overwhelming majority.
Yeah. There's always that one guy who accidentally hits no on the thing, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Do they have something in their hand like a Jeopardy buzzer? It's like a little thing that they click? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
no, maybe.
During the live stream, I did hear Cardinal Dolan, because he's always hot mic. He's never like, stage whisper. So while they're voting, he says, I came up on stage. I forgot to bring my little voting thing, but I guess it won't matter that much. It looks like it's going our way.
He wasn't going to be the tiebreaker, hopefully. Right. Yeah.
Right,
unless
thankfully.
like a cardinal means more votes,
Yeah.
I don't think they do it that way. Well, wouldn't that be interesting if they did?
A lot of things would make the meetings more interesting, probably. Game of Thrones and whatnot. So I haven't talked to you, at least on the air. I haven't talked to you since a very successful World Youth Day. How did it go from your perspective?
You know what? We got everybody there and we got everybody home. And from an organizer's perspective, that to me is a successful event.
Right.
No, it was great. The Holy Father was wonderful. The bishops enjoyed themselves. But most importantly, the young people really, the young adults who were there. We had 29,000 from the United States that came, which post-COVID is a very impressive number.
Mm-hmm.
So and it seemed like things went very well for us. I hope it was good for them too.
You've been to a lot of these. Like, how many World Youth Days have you been to in person?
9.
Okay. I mean, it seemed to me, I was not there, and I've only been to a couple in person, but it seemed like, all of them are great, but it seemed like this one was like a pretty good one. Like, the Pope was really connecting, and it seems like a lot of young people gather together. I mean, that's always the case. These sounds like you're describing every event, but I don't know. I just got a vibe like this was a good one, let's say.
Yeah, I think this one was above average, I would say. I don't like, I mean, everyone's got, part of the thing is everyone has their favorites. Everyone knows what they like. So, some like, some depends on the experience, the country, the food,
Right.
There's always
whether or not there's a huge beach involved. So, I mean, like
Yes.
Rio, for instance.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's a nice little perk too.
It's tough to beat Rio. Oof.
Paul Jarzembowski is our guest. He works with the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops with all of the different things that have to do with laity and young adults. But your new book, Paul, is called Hope for the Holidays, Finding Light at the Darkest Time of the Year. You did a book kind of to prepare us for the season of Lent, beginning with the ashes on our forehead at Ash Wednesday. Would you say this is your typical kind of Advent reflections? Or are you kind of really taking it from a perspective of, this is not an easy time of year for some people, and there's not a lot of resources out there for those folks?
Yeah, when I was working on my previous book on ashes, and I was talking to people about helping others find hope, one thing I heard from a lot of people is, how can I pass on? How can I give hope? How can I make things better for someone else when I'm struggling with faith, when I'm struggling with hope myself? And so in a way, this book is kind of a little bit of a prequel to the Ashes book. Yeah, I mean,
like
it's
episode 1 of Star Wars,
like episode 1 to to the original trilogy kind of thing. But but really, it's meant for people who, whether you're a church leader or whether you're really anyone, even if you're not a leader, if for you the holidays are just, they're great, but there's something a little not right. Maybe you feel a little empty. Maybe there's seasonal depression. Maybe you're just overwhelmed. Too much family, too little family. So all depends on your perspective. If that's you, then I wanted to write a book to those people so that we could infuse a little more hope. I mean, it is technically the season of hope, but sometimes we say it, but we don't actually feel it. And I get that. And I wanted to say, let's talk it through. So no, this isn't just devotions. In fact, I tried to kind of journey with people in a little bit of a fun way. I took the story of Ebenezer Scrooge and decided to give that as the framing device to walk people through it.
So your book that we're talking about, Hope for the Holidays, you use the lens of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah. I looked at all the different ghosts that visit Scrooge, and I thought I kind of did my own reflection, like what would happen if the ghost visited me, and what kind of hope would I find that each of them brought? And I kind of use that as a way to invite others into the conversation too. I've also, as a church leader, though, the other thing too I noticed is that a lot of people, there are little glimmers of hope that people, I think, recognize in the holidays, but sometimes they can't pin that as really the hope. Like people give more, they feel better about giving, charitable giving and service around the holidays. People go on more retreats and go to the Sacrament of Reconciliation during the holidays. People get together with their families they haven't seen all year, and sometimes they like it. And there's like a sense of like joy. Or people take the I even think of like the time in October and November where we think about our past relatives, like Veterans Day or Dia de los Muertos, and how that kind of refreshes people and connects them back to their roots. So there's little glimmers of hope that people do, and I wanted to write on that and kind of help people kind of expand on that and say, okay, where else can we go with this? So
Paul Jarzembowski, you've piqued my curiosity, because now I'm wondering, what would Ghost of Christmas Future say to you, Paul Jarzembowski? What would that be like?
Well, what does the future hold?
Well, you said you reflected on what it would be
I
like.
I did. So we're being serious here, right?
Yeah.
We have been serious. Okay.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, I know.
Depends on your answer.
I know, it really does.
We're actually putting this in your hands.
It took me to the Busted Halo show. I knew I was going to be on it, and so I wrote about it. No.
Nice.
So it
No, that's like
actually no.
Hollywood Squares. You give the joke answer first, and then
Yeah, I know. The second answer though,
Slide the other sheet over. Yes.
I know now I'm going to bring it down and no.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. No, for me, I kept one of the things in that chapter, it's a dark chapter of the Dickens book. And where it really took me is like, what happens if I'm not engaged in works of justice? I kept going back to Matthew 25 and kind of in a way that dark thing, like, well, what if you didn't see me hungry, or what if, because that in a way that's what the Scrooge story is essentially. It's Matthew 25, and the goat part of Matthew 25 is the ghost of Christmas future. What if Scrooge, I was hungry and you didn't feed me, I was thirsty and you didn't give me drink, and this is where your future, this is what the future could be. So it really kind of shook me, and it really made me really think about the social engagement and the social justice that which actually does, again, I find that people they give charitably. There is a sense of social justice and social concern around the holidays. But, I thought, and what struck me to my core is, am I doing enough?
Yeah.
Am I, and is maybe the hopelessness that I might, or the despair that I might feel because I'm not really doing as much as I oughta. So, sorry, I took a dark turn there, but you
No, it's not a dark
go to
turn.
Ghost of
No,
Christmas
it's good.
Future, it's gonna get heavy. It always
This isn't
always-
Dickens. This isn't on you. You know.
Well, when you're talking about Matthew 25, where Jesus is separating the sheep and the goats, because I would imagine some people were saying, he said the goat part. Were they talking about Tom Brady in Matthew 25?
there you go. There you go.
His future
It
is
all
in
comes back around.
broadcasting.
Paul Jarzembowski is our guest here on the Busted Halo Show. His book is called Hope for the Holidays, Finding Light at the Darkest Times of the Year. It is literally dark, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere and where we're broadcasting with the satellite. And for many people, it's a lonely time of year. People do get seasonal affective disorder. People have experienced loss at the holidays. And so it maybe somewhat differently than when people have had friends or relatives die in the summer or in the spring. It's a reminder because, all of those things kind of are Pavlovian cues that, yeah, this is what it was like when, I lost both of my parents right around Thanksgiving. So I can appreciate that for some people, this can be a tough time of year when they see everybody else, you see all the commercials on TV and hear the Mariah Carey song over and over again. And for some people, it's like, I'm not on that same page as
Right.
that.
I think we've all had a moment. During the Advent, Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, we probably can all admit that at some day during the season, we aren't as cheerful as we see everybody else. We aren't, or at least we perceive everybody else to be doing just fine. And, social media certainly amplifies that, but everything kind of amplifies it these days. And we kind of think that everyone's got it right at the holidays. Everyone's happy. Everyone's having a Hallmark movie moment, but me. And so we can kind of, whether it's because of loss or because of just seasonal depression, it can get to us. So again, I wanted to lift people out of that, provide a little hope.
But Paul, you take on a very, very controversial topic in this book because towards the end, you talk about Christmas movies. You talk about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, you talk about Charlie Brown Christmas, and you also mention Die Hard. It's right here.
Yes.
He's got a chapter
Good
on
for
Die
him.
Hard.
Good for Paul.
It's probably one of the only Christian books out there on the market where Die Hard gets its own section.
Well done.
So
My father would be proud.
In the category because there's two types of people in this world.
There
One
are.
who believe Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and the other who don't.
The other who are completely wrong.
I mean,
I have just lost how many listeners to your
Yeah,
radio
just
show
about
just
half
now?
of them.
no,
Half
'cause
of
they
them are just
listen.
like, nope.
No, because people like to listen even when they're upset. They're like, let me hear him explain.
Let me hear it. I want to
Yeah,
argue.
exactly, right.
Yeah, that's a very controversial topic, but yeah, and that was really in the chapter on the ghost of Christmas present, or basically how do we find God in all things. And again, I had my dad in mind when I was thinking about this because my dad swears by Die Hard's his favorite Christmas movie. So I'm like, I'm going to show God
Wow.
can speak in all ways. God has something for everyone, including Die Hard. And it is a fun movie, so let's see what we got there.
Right
Anyway,
here. It's on this
Happens
laptop
at
right here.
Christmas time.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the movie. It's covered. It's obvious. It's obviously a directorial choice. It's in it over and over and
People
over.
have asked, like, President. I remember somebody asked President Obama that at one point. Like, when it was like,
Die Hard at Christmas.
It waxes and wanes in cultural reference, like importance.
Well, Paul Jarzembowski, thank you for putting pen to paper and inviting us to reflect on all the angles, all the different aspects of this season that we're entering into pretty soon. Hope for the Holidays is the book, Finding Light at the Darkest Time of the Year. We'll put a link on our radio blog so you can see where you can pick this up from Paulist Press. Oh, thanks, Paul. Thanks for Paulist Press.
Hey, the Paulists are wonderful guys.
Oh, thanks.
Isaac Hecker on the road.
All right.
I'm riding his coattails.
And we all are.